The topic for Unit 2, Learning Set 2, is Reconcile a Bank Statement. And the objective is reconcile a checking account with the bank statement by hand and by using a spreadsheet. So the first video, we're going to cover how to reconcile a checking account with a bank statement by hand. And by reconcile, what you're doing is you're comparing your bank statement to your check register to verify that no mistakes have been made on either the bank's part or your part. So you need two things when you want to reconcile your bank statement and check register. You need the check register and the bank statement. So on the left side of the screen, this is Michael Biock's check register, and on the right side over here, that would be his bank statement. And when you look at the bank statement, notice that they list his name and address, his account number, and they give a statement period. So anything on this bank statement is what has cleared the bank from 11:01 to 11:30. So anything that's been cleared after 11:30 is not incorporated onto this bank statement. So the first thing we need to do is we need to compare the entries from the check register to the bank statement. And what we're looking for is we want to find the totals for outstanding withdrawals and outstanding deposits. And you will notice when you look at the check register in this middle section, some entries already have check marks by them. That represents items that have already cleared the bank and that we have verified are on a previous bank statement. So we're going to look at outstanding withdrawals first. So when we look at that, what we want to do is we want to look at our bank statement and say, okay, the first two are deposits, so we're not looking at those yet. We want to look at the withdrawals. So it cleared the bank on 11/13. That's not necessarily when we wrote check 1770. So we have to look down until we find our check. And as you can see, 1770 is right here. We wrote it on 10/22, so that took a couple of weeks to clear, and it was for 1508 or 15808, and as you see, it matches. So we're going to put a check mark here to indicate that that has been verified, that it has cleared the bank. Now we're going to look for check 1768. That was written on 10/18 for 4650. It matches the transaction amount. That gets a check mark. The next check is 1769 for $74.64. That also matches, and we get a check mark. And the last one for 1765 for $19.50, that matches. So the next step is to look for which withdrawals do not have a check mark. So as we look through our check register, the first one, 1763, we see that that does not have a check mark yet. So that is what we would call an outstanding withdrawal. And then we'll go down. There's no check mark on this line. That is also a check. So that is also an outstanding withdrawal. And then go down. 1771 has not cleared the bank yet. And 1772. So we have 4 checks that have not cleared the bank yet. So we need to account for those, and we need to find out the total amount, which is $112.10. So now we need to look at our outstanding deposits. Okay, so we have a deposit on 11/05 for $35, and that is listed right here. We also have a deposit on 11/11 for $100. and that is listed right here. Okay, so let's look for anything else deposit-wise that we have not marked off yet. So there's nothing at the top, and we keep looking down our register until we get to 12/1. So we see there was a deposit on 12/1 that had not been accounted for yet. So our total outstanding deposits are $125. And the third step is to adjust our bank statement to see if our totals match up to our check register balance when we add in the outstanding withdrawals and we subtract the outstanding, when we add in the outstanding deposits and take out the outstanding withdrawals. So we start with our bank statement ending balance. So we're going to go up here and look at our bank statement ending balance. It's $628.23. The next step would be to add our total outstanding deposits. That is our blue numbers of 125. Next, we want to subtract any outstanding withdrawals that haven't been subtracted from the bank yet, which is $112.10. So our revised bank statement is $614 or $641.13. So we now want to compare it to our ending balance on our checkbook. And when we look at our ending balance on our checkbook, we see that it's $641.13. And we see that these two are equal, which means our check register is reconciled with our bank statement. So one of the things people often ask is, why might a check not have cleared during the monthly cycle and appear on the bank statement? So many people may not deposit checks right away. I'm sure you've all had family members who have given you a check for your birthday, Christmas, whatever, and you may have waited a month or two before you deposited it. Businesses don't always immediately deposit checks. Some of them only keep the checks in their safe at their store, and they don't deposit until, say, the end of the week. And lastly, if checks are written towards the end of a cycle, they may not appear until the next month's statement. So let's make an algebraic formula and statements that model this process. Okay, so let's take and say, we're going to say the statement balance, ending balance is A. Total deposits outstanding is represented by B. Total withdrawals outstanding is represented by C. And then our revised statement balance will be D. And our check register balance is going to be R. So if you think about the steps we did to get our revised statement, D is going to equal our statement ending balance plus our outstanding deposits minus our outstanding withdrawals. So our algebraic expression is going to be D equals A plus B minus C. And what we want to ask ourselves is, if D is equal to R, then the statement is reconciled. If D is not equal to R, then our statement is not reconciled. So let's use this algebraic expression. Nancy has a balance of $10.78 in her check register. So this is going to be our R. Okay, so that is going to be our R amount. The balance on her bank account statement is $885.84. Okay, so that is going to be our A amount. Okay, that is what our ending balance is on our bank statement. So reported on our bank statement are deposits of $575 and $250. So deposits are going to be our B. Okay, so deposits are our B value. And you add them and you get $825. And lastly, our two checks, these are going to be withdrawals. Okay, so these are going to be our C value and deposits for our B value. We would add them together and put them in our C section. Now, remember our equation we used in the second example was D equals A plus B minus C. Now that we know our values, we simply plug them in and we find out that D is equal to $1,078. And our last step is to determine, is D equal to R? Well, D is 1078, R is 1078, so yes, the check register is balanced or reconciled.